All right, let's dive into one of the most powerful tools in all of finance. We're talking about the one document that cuts through all the noise and tells you what's really going on inside a company. This is the statement of cash flows.
So, let's kick things off with a little mystery. Imagine a company is reporting record profits. I mean, the headlines are glowing, the stock is going through the roof, but then, just a few months later, poof, it's out of business. How on earth does that happen? It sounds impossible, right? But it happens all the time, and the answer is hiding in plain sight.
And here's the secret. Profit and cash are two totally different things. You see, profit, that's just an accounting idea. It's kind of like an opinion, really. It's got all sorts of things mixed in that aren't actual money. But cash? Oh, cash is a hard fact. It's what's sitting in the bank account. It's the fuel a business needs to pay its bills, to pay its people, to survive. If you run out of that fuel, the engine just stops. Period. So, how do we solve this mystery? How do we check the actual fuel gauge instead of just looking at the shiny paint job? Well, we use the statement of cash flows. Think of it like a financial detective. It ignores the opinions and shows you exactly where the cash came from and where it went. And the official rulebook for this detective is an accounting standard called IAS 7. Now, according to that rulebook, the entire cash story of any company, and I mean any company, is always broken down into three main parts. Once you get these three activities, you've pretty much cracked the code.
And here they are: operating, investing, and financing. That's it. This is our detective's entire toolkit. Every single dollar that comes in or goes out of a business has to fit into one of these three buckets.
Okay, first step, operating activities. This is the engine room. It's the cash that comes from what the company actually does every single day. You know, selling its stuff. For any healthy company, this number should be positive, consistently.
Next, we've got investing activities. This part tells you what the company is doing to build its future. It's the cash they're spending on big things, like new buildings, new equipment, or maybe even buying up other companies. It's all about spending money today to hopefully make even more money tomorrow.
And finally, there's financing activities. This is all about how the company gets its funding. It tracks the cash coming in from selling shares to investors or taking out loans from banks. And it tracks the cash going out to pay back that debt or give dividends to its owners. All right, let's zoom in on operating activities for a second, because honestly, this is the big one. This is the absolute heart of the matter. If a business can't generate cash from its main operations, everything else is just smoke and mirrors. This is the true test of its health.
So what are we really talking about here? Well, the accounting standards spell it out. It's the cash coming in from your customers. It's the cash going out to your suppliers. The cash you use to pay your employees' salaries, and of course the cash you pay in taxes. It's the nitty-gritty, day-to-day reality of the business.
Now here's a fun little quirk. There are actually two ways to show this stuff. There's the direct method, which is super simple. It just lists cash in, cash out. Easy. The rulebook actually encourages companies to use this one, but almost nobody does. Most companies use what's called the indirect method. They start with that fuzzy profit number and then make a bunch of adjustments to work their way back to the real cash number.
Okay, so once we've figured out how much cash the engine is actually producing, we can check out the other two activities. This is where we see how that cash is being put to work to grow the company and to manage its money. Investing activities. This is where you see a company's strategy in action. When you see a negative number here, cash going out, it means they're buying stuff. New factories, better equipment, they're making a bet on their future. If you see cash coming in, it means they're selling off assets. And then there's financing. This section really shows you the company's relationship with its owners and its lenders. Are they bringing in fresh cash by issuing new stock? Are they taking on more debt? Or are they using their cash to pay off their loans and reward their shareholders by sending them a dividend check? This is where you find out.
All right, enough theory. Let's get our hands dirty. We're going to put on our detective hats and walk through a real example. One that comes straight out of the accounting standards' own guide. It's time to actually read the story these numbers are telling us.
So meet our company. On the surface, they look amazing. They reported a profit of $3,050. That's a huge number. But we're detectives now, right? We know that's not the whole story. So let's find out what actually happened with the cash. First things first, let's check the engine room. Operating activities generated a positive $1,650 in cash. Okay, that's a great sign. It tells us the core business is healthy. It's doing what it's supposed to do, generate cold, hard cash. So what did they do with all that cash from the engine? Well, they spent $480 of it on investing.
Now, you might see that minus sign and think, oh no, they lost money. But that's not it at all. This is a good thing. It means they're taking cash they made and reinvesting it to make the company stronger for the future. That's a strategic move.
And finally, financing. Whoa, a big number here. They used 1,060. This tells us they were busy paying people back. They were paying down their debts and paying dividends out to their shareholders. This is what mature, stable companies do. They reward the people who funded them in the first place.
So, let's do the final math. They generated $1,650 from the business. They spent $480 on the future, and they paid back $1,060 to their funders. You add all that up, and what do you get? Their bank account only went up by $110. This is it. This is the perfect example of how a company can have a massive profit, over $3,000, but end up with just a tiny bit more cash at the end of the day.
So after peeling back all those layers, what's the real lesson here? Why is this one financial statement so incredibly important?
You know, the official rulebook says it better than I ever could. The entire purpose of this is to figure out if a company is able to generate cash. Because if it can't do that, nothing else matters. You can't grow, you can't pay your debts, you can't survive. It is, without a doubt, the ultimate health check.
If you only remember one thing from all of this, please let it be this. Profit is an opinion. It's an accountant's best guess. But cash? Cash is a fact. It's the undeniable reality of what a business has to work with.
So, the next time you see a flashy headline about some company's record profits, you're going to be a little smarter. You'll know there's a much deeper, more important story to uncover, and you'll know the exact question you need to ask. That's great, but show me the cash.